Good evening, this is Mr. Wintermelon. So in the previous video, we have learned how organisms that is most adapted to their environment survive and reproduce. And eventually this will lead to the evolution of that species of organism. So nature is doing the selection. How the environment is will shape how the organism will be selected. Now, in this video, we are going to learn something that is different. The selection is not done by nature. It is done by human, and we call it artificial selection. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to give examples of artificial selection, such as in the production of economically important plants and animals. But first, what is the meaning of artificial selection? Artificial selection is human selecting the organism with desirable to human, as opposed to desirable to organism of the opposite sex, or desirable to survive in the environment. So human will be selecting organism with traits that are desirable to them and only allowing them to reproduce. Something like eugenics. And the criteria could be the amount of food that they can produce. It can be for some economic benefit, or it could be just down to the personal preference of the breeder that is doing the selection. So since so much selection is going on, another term for artificial selection is called selective breeding, because we select the organism with the traits which we want and allow them to interbreed. The changes over generation are much faster than natural selection, because it is a lot more guided in a way. In natural selection, the environment might change every now and then, and the selection pressure will shift. In this case, human will only select the cream of the crop to reproduce. And human, we have been doing this for thousands of years already. But how is this done? So there are a few simple steps in selective breeding. First of all, you need to decide which characteristics are important enough to select. For example, let's say you have a bunch of cows and the quality that you want is the amount of milk that they can produce. The higher volume of milk the cow can produce, the better. So the next step is to pick the cow that produces the most milk and allow it to reproduce. So out of all these children, there will be variation. That means some cow will produce more milk than the others. So you pick the offspring that produces the most milk and only allow it to reproduce. Then lastly, you repeat this process continuously. So after many generations of this selective breeding, the future generation of this original cow will most likely be producing more milk than the first generation of cow. So again, it is important to take note is due to variation of individual which allow this selection to take place. So what are the examples? So some example of artificial selection in plant is farmer can select seed which give the highest yield. So as you can see, chili have been domesticated for a very long time, as well as corn. And breeder might cross different varieties or breed of plants or animal to produce offspring with desirable traits of both parents. And this is known as hybridization. So for example, sugarcane that is very sweet, but it might be prone to disease. So you find a wild sugarcane that have resistance to disease, then you cross-pollinate them to produce offspring with both the desirable trait of having a lot of sugar, very sweet, as well as resistant to disease. So the next part is quite important. Do remember to copy this down because this is literally what's mentioned in the syllabus outline. So for example, soya bean, the farmer only allows the plant whereby the soya bean containing the most oil to reproduce. Why is this important? It could be because of nutrition factor, or it could be due to us being able to extract more oil from the soya bean when we are trying to produce oil from plant. Sugarcane in Indonesia have been crossbred. So the hybrid of the offspring are rich in sugar as well as resistant to disease. Corn as well as chili, as you have seen in the earlier slide, had been selectively bred for their taste or easier for the farmer to grind their kernel off, or corn that have more kernels so that the yield will be better. For chili and pepper, they have been bred for not just their size but also their taste. Some farmer might breed pepper that is getting spicier and spicier, or some other farmer might prefer sweeter and sweeter pepper. Next, let us look at some example of artificial selection in animals. Similar to plant, animals can be selectively bred for various reasons. For example, dog can be bred for their ability to hunt. Cow have not just been bred for meat, but also they have been bred for the amount of milk that they produce. And marine life have also been bred for not just their size, but also resistant to virus. So please copy this down for example purpose. For your cow, they have been bred for better beef as well as milk quality. But of course, these are from two different breeds of cow. Salmon and trout for larger size as well as disease resistant. Oyster also larger size and better survival rate. Dogs can be bred for various reasons. Like some dogs are bred for hunting, some dogs are bred for herding the sheep. So actually this is all for artificial selection. As pointed out at the front, the learning objective is for you to be able to state the plant or animal and how selecting those features can bring about economic benefit. So I will leave you with some beautiful photo of pets. But like I said, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Some of them are cute, some of them you might not find to be as cute. So human, we do not just breed cats and dogs. Human also like to breed pigeon. And if you think those 4 breed of pigeons looks weird, take a look at this pigeon.